Should overdrive pedals not be used in amp demos? Because after all, they have such a huge impact on how the amp sounds. And I have some things to say about a lot of the comments that I got on my last Riffs and Responses video. And how do the EVH blue and red channels compare to the classic and modern channels on the Blue Guitar Amp 1 Iridium? And a lot of people have asked me to cover the new liquid profiling feature on the KEMPER. All that and more on today's Riffs and Responses. Let's get started. What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining me for today's Riffs and Responses episode. This is episode 10. I can't believe I've been doing these for 11 weeks now. This is crazy. And you're probably wondering, well, if you're doing them for 11 weeks, why isn't this episode 11? Well, I skipped last week because of work, so my apologies for that, and my apologies also for getting this one done late. It's been a pretty crazy day here, so I want to get right to it. I want to try to keep these as short and concise as possible. I always go over the time that I want to do these in for some reason, but I always want to make sure I cover all the topics in a complete way and give everybody as much information as possible. So let's start with the whole KEMPER liquid profiling thing. A lot of people have been asking me to cover that, and I'm happy to do that for you guys. I finally did update my KEMPER, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and started dipping my toes in the old liquid profiling waters. A little play on words there. Just came up with that. That's how smart and witty I am. But anyways, and it's actually a pretty cool feature. I think that it's nice to be able to have, like, you know, an awesome profile of an amplifier, but also to go with it, the actual knobs associated with that amplifier as well, so that when you turn those knobs, they're modeled after that amp, so you're getting a really accurate reading of what those knobs are doing, as opposed to the generic knobs that are on the KEMPER. Now, the generic settings on the tone stack and the gain and all that has gotten us by for, I don't know, 11 years or so, and they've worked great, but why not have more accuracy with the liquid profiling? So I'm going to head on over to the computer now and pull that up and just show you what it does really quick. The profile I'm using today, shameless plug, is the profile I did that's up on my website right now, by the way, of the Friedman Naked amplifier. This is a very, very rare amplifier, and I profiled the crap out of it a couple weeks ago, and they came out really good. I played them last night in the live stream, and man, they sound and feel amazing. And you know, the thing is about this amp too, is it's very unique. It doesn't sound like any other Friedman amp. You know, a lot of them have that kind of same family of tones from Friedman, but this one is completely different. It's like the really nice red-headed stepchild of the Friedman tones, and I love it. It sounds really good. It's probably the best Friedman amp I've ever played, to be honest with you, and I was happy to capture it for you guys. So if you want to get those, go on my website and download them. They're available for ToneX, KEMPER, and Quad CORTEX, and I know you're going to like them, especially if you're a Friedman fan, and I know there's a lot of those out there. So let's head over to the computer and mess around with the liquid profiling feature now. Okay, we are at the computer now, and I have the software pulled up here. I got the rig manager pulled up. So let's go ahead and check out this naked profile. I'm going to play it with just the KEMPER generic, you know, tone stack on it, and then I'll switch to something else and see how different everything sounds. So here we go. Sounds freaking phenomenal. So let's go ahead and click on the amp model down here, and you can't see the list because my software is driving me nuts, so it won't show you everything, but there's just a bunch of different amp models or liquid profile models that pull up that you can apply to this actual profile to give you a different tone stack. And I mean, you got Roland stuff, you got Marshalls, Fenders, Mesa, Orange, even have a PV5150 down here. But for this video, I'm going to do the Friedman HBE tone stack or liquid profile and see how that sounds. So keep your eye on the screen. I'm just going to play a riff real quick and then click on it, and you're going to hear how different everything sounds with the different tone stack. Now that's the actual tone stack of the Friedman HBE, not the Kemper generic. So things are different. And as you know, with the Friedman HBE amplifier, the tone stack is a lot more subtle than what you're going to get on a lot of different amps, including the Kemper generic stuff. So let's dial this in now and see what we have. All right, very cool. So now we have the actual knobs of the Friedman HBE interacting with this profile. So what I really like about this feature is, let's just say for conversation's sake, you have a profile of a Friedman HBE amplifier and you want to tweak it and make it sound, you know, more to your liking. When you get the Friedman HBE amp model, you know, the liquid profile on top of that profile, what you get now is the ability to turn those knobs as you would do it on the real amp, and you're going to get the same results. So I just think that this is a really cool feature. It adds a more accurate tone to your amplifiers when you're tweaking all of those, and especially for guys that are familiar with what those knobs do. Now there's no guesswork anymore. Now it's going to sound even more like the real amplifier. So I just think Kemper's profiles just got even better and more accurate for everyone. So now let's screw around a little bit just for fun, and let's find, so what we have is the Friedman HBE amp model, or liquid profile, whatever you want to call it. Man, I wish people would just keep everything one name, you know. So, and let's pick a different amp model to put on top of it and just see how it changes it. I'm going to use the PV 5150 and just see what it does. Whoa, that got super bright. So you could tell that the tone stack acts quite a bit different on the 5150 than it does on the Friedman. So I'm going to pull this presence down so my ears don't bleed. So, and this treble too. Holy crap. So you could tell that they actually did model these tone stacks exactly how they act on the real amps, because I know for a fact on the 5150 I would never put my treble or presence that high, but you can get away with it on the Friedman. So that's a testament to how accurate these are. So let's go ahead and mess around with this, and just for fun. All right, I can live with that, you know. So now let's switch back to the Friedman, you know, amp model or liquid profile and see what we have. So same settings, it darkened it up a little bit, as it should, because, you know, it's a different tone stack and the knobs have different tolerances. So yeah, that's a really cool feature, and I think a lot of people are going to find that very handy. And I know that in the next several updates, we're going to get a ton of more liquid profiles in those updates to try out on all the amp profiles that we have. And I think that that's really cool. So I got to tip my hat to Chris Kemper for coming up with that update. I think that's a freaking badass update. And like I said earlier, it makes our profiles even more accurate. So now when you're turning knobs to tweak them, you know that those tweaks are going to be accurate and they're going to resemble what would be happening on the real amp if you made those same adjustments. All right, I just realized I had my background lights off, so I just turned them on. Oh well. So this next comment is from Dennis Williams 9145. He says, While there are many videos that demonstrate the Bad Cat amplifiers, the truest ones in my view are those that do not place an overdrive and or distortion pedal within the signal chain. Maybe it's just me, however, I will never understand the logic behind inserting an effect loop into the signal chain while attempting to demonstrate the tone of the amp. Well, Dennis, appreciate you commenting. I hope you enjoyed the video, but let me help you out a little bit here. I would say that at least 75% of the people that play high gain amplifiers use overdrive pedals. I think that's a pretty common thing, and it would only behoove me to demonstrate the amp with and without the pedals so that I can show how well it takes a boost and how much more responsive it gets with a boost. And in that particular video, if I remember correctly, I used the Warm Audio Oddbox pedal. So let's just test Dennis's theory and see how much effect that the Oddbox had on the amplifier's overall tone. Here are my settings on the Oddbox. Volume all the way up, drive all the way down, tone dead nut center. So it's off right now. Let's play a riff and engage the pedal and see what happens. When you see me reach down, that means I'm turning the pedal on. Well, if you ask me, it had very little effect on the tone at all. I bet you if I didn't tell you I turned the pedal on, you probably wouldn't know. The only thing that noticed that something changed were my hands. It just got a little more responsive to my playing. So, you know, that's why I do these demos the way I do them. I want to show the amp without the boost so that you get the raw tone of the amplifier, but I'm always going to engage a pedal because there's a significant amount of people in my audience who want to hear what it sounds like and hear me tell them what it feels like and how much more responsive it gets when I engage the boost. And so, yeah, I mean, that's how I do it, and I don't see anything wrong with using a boost pedal when you're demoing an amplifier, because again, a vast majority of the people watching the video want to know. They really do. And like I said, I don't think that engaging the Oddbox had any effect over the amp's tone. I really don't. And let's do that again. Now, this time I'm going to leave it on when I start and turn it off and see if you notice a difference. Yeah, no difference in the tone at all. It just feels better and gets more responsive when I have the pedal engaged. So I guess that pretty much debunks his theory regarding that. Now let me just sum it up with this. I mean, whenever I do amp demos, I will do it without the boost for the people who prefer it that way, and I will do it with the boost for people who prefer it that way, so that everyone's happy. So just because I engage a boost doesn't mean that just ruins the whole demo. Now, I'll also do stuff with effects as well, because some amps have crappy effects loops, and I think people should know about that. This amp has a great effects loop, and that's a big relief, because I can't stand amplifiers with shitty effects loops. You know, the real dull ones where all the effects sound really dark and weird. I can't stand those effects loops. I don't know why. In these days here, with all the technology the way it is, that people release amplifiers with crappy freaking effects loops. It's inexcusable. So I want to show that for people. It's a full amp demo. Let's test the effects loop. Let's test the clean channel with and without effects, just to show what it sounds like raw and dressed up a little bit. I mean, I think it's very important that I do complete demos for everyone, and that's why I do them the way I do them. So I hope that helps people understand what my process is, or my philosophy is on demoing amplifiers. I'm going to give you with and without overdrives and with and without other effects as well, depending on if I'm using a clean channel or even a high gain channel for leads. You want to hear what the delay sounds like with it. And I also do a full mix, and I give you more than just one crappy microphone. I'm not going to give you that simpleton SM57 crap. I'm going to give you a full spectrum of sound with the cab by using 2 mics instead of just one. I just think it's I don't know. I just don't like hearing boxy, you know, SM57 tones. I think it's a good mic, but by itself, it's a bit boxy. But if you pair it with the Royer 121, you're going to get a bigger spectrum of sound out of the cabinet, and you're going to hear what the cabinet really sounds like, as opposed to, you know, one microphone's version of what it sounds like. And it's not always the best version. I mean, SM57s are good mics, but people use those in clubs because they're durable and they're inexpensive. So if they break, it's just $100 to get another one. Now, a Royer 121, you're looking at $1,300 for something like that. So I get why people don't use them in clubs, and they're delicate mics, but I use them to demo amps so that you get, like I said earlier, a full spectrum of sound and a better, more accurate representation of what's going on with the amp and cab combination. Now, not every channel does that, and I have respect for channels that don't, and that's what makes us all different, and it gives you more reasons to watch multiple channels when you're watching amp demos, because it gives you a different perspective. Okay, so this next question is from James Moses 4066. He said, would you ever do an amp tier list video ranking amps in order from best to worst? Well, James, thanks for your question. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to give you the answer to your question, but it's going to be a little different than probably what you expected. So I'm not going to rank all of my amps from top to bottom on these shelves. I'm basically just going to tell you why I chose each amp and put them in the tier list in their own category from their prospective manufacturers. So let's just start with the Splon Nitro, okay? So in my opinion, that's the best amp that Splon builds for me. The Nitro is more on the metal side of things, and as much as I think the quick rods are great, I'm more of a metal guy, so I want something that is more suitable to my taste, which is like really aggressive metal tones. And that's the nastiest amp that Scott Splon makes. So that's why I got that. So on my tier list regarding his amplifiers, the Splon Nitro is the best. Now let's go over to the Engel Savage. That, in my opinion, is the best amplifier that Engel builds, at least that I've experienced. Now I know they have a new special edition out, and I want to try one of those in the future, but as far as my experience goes, the Engel Savage is the best amp that they've ever built, and I have the Mark II, which is even better than the Mark I. So that's why I bought that amplifier. And regarding the Rev, I've played a couple iterations of their amplifiers, and while they are all very good, in my opinion, the Rev Mark III is the best one because it has the tone and the features that I was looking for when I bought that amplifier. So in my opinion, for what I like, the Rev Mark III is their best amplifier. Now the Rev Mark II is also very good. My friend Jay owns one of those, and it's amazing, but I just think the Mark III is more suitable to my taste. Now with the EVH Stealth, in my opinion, the EVH Stealth is the absolute best amplifier that EVH has built. I just think nothing can touch it. It's the most brutal, most feature-rich amplifier, and the most tweakable in a good way because of the Easter eggs in it. I just think it's just an amazing amplifier, and if I had to pick one amplifier built by that company, it would be the Stealth for sure. Now I did buy the EL34 version, and I bought it thinking it would be quite a bit different, but it's pretty much a twin sister to it. You know, it's very, very close to the same thing. So I'm actually selling that. A friend of mine, Jerry, is going to be buying that from me in about a week, and I'm going to give it a good home. So, I mean, I figured why have two of the same amp, you know, so I might as well just part ways with that. It sucks because I really like that amp, but I have the Stealth still, and I think it's going to do just fine here. And the Mesobarba Trinity, for my taste, feature-wise, tone-wise, everything else, that is their best amplifier in my opinion for what I do. So that's why I picked that one. Quick little segue from all this. Your tastes and your opinions may vary from mine, but we all like different things. So moving on to the Mesa JP Mark II C+. I mean, I bought that because that, in my opinion, is Mesa's best amplifier. I don't think there's a better amp built by them. I mean, it's the most feature-rich amplifier that they've made. I mean, you got MIDI, you got two graphic EQs, you have three amazing independent channels, and I love that you have two high gain channels that you can dial in any way you want, or you can make them sound pretty much the same if you want to as well. I just think that that is an unbeatable Mesa amp. So again, in my opinion, the JP Mark II C+ is their absolute best amp. Now with the Bad Cat, I mean, they have a lot of great amplifiers out there, and a lot of them are amazing, but the best one that suits my taste is the Lynx, because it's more of a metal amplifier, plenty of gain and aggression, and it sounds and feels great. And like I demonstrated earlier, it takes a boost like a champ. And with this amplifier, you also can get, you have two channels, and you could dial them in to sound exactly the same or quite a bit different from each other. So if you want an awesome clean channel, you could use channel 1 for that, and channel 2 to handle all your high gain rhythms and leads. Or if you want a brutal rhythm channel on channel 1 and an awesome liquidy lead channel on channel 2, you could do that as well. So in my opinion, that's the best amp that Bad Cat makes, at least for what I do. Now, as far as the Victory Kraken goes, I mean, again, I'm a metal guy, so to me, that's the best choice for that line of amplifiers. I mean, I know they have different amps, like the Sheriff and a couple other ones, and I'm sure they're very good, but for what I do, the Victory Super Kraken is 100% for me. And regarding the Red 7 Leviathan, when I talked to them about purchasing an amp from them, I pretty much told them what I do. They watched a few of my videos, and they were like, you know what, the Leviathan's pretty much the one for you then. And with that, you get 2 high gain channels, and the channels are really versatile, and you could do a lot with this amplifier, but it's brutal as hell, and it's amazing. So it's very suitable for my taste. So in my opinion, that is the top ranked amp that Red 7 makes, and it's 100% what I would buy if I had to do it over again. They also make a lot of great amplifiers, but for me, this is the best one. Now, regarding affordable amplifiers under $1,000, that's why I went with the EVH Iconic. I mean, I just think that that's one of the best amplifiers you can get for under $1,000 as far as budget amps go, and I just think it's really, really good for the price. So, in my opinion, top tier amp in its price category. Now, regarding the MT15, I just think that it's the best lunchbox amp out there that's in its price range as well. So if you're looking for a really good deal on a budget amplifier that's in the lunchbox category, I think the MT15 would definitely fit the bill perfectly. Finishing up with the Diesel Herbert, I did a lot of research on their amplifiers, and in my opinion, for at least for what I do, I just think that that was the most suitable amplifier and top tier amp for what I do because of the features and the fact that it's got an amazing tone, and it's got that diesel thing, but it's voiced the way I like it. And you know, you got 3 amazing channels on it, and MIDI, a couple different effects loops. I mean, it's programmable. It's just an awesome amplifier. 180 watts. I mean, how do you go wrong with that? So, and when I was reading on their website how they made all these different amps and what went behind them, I just found that that suited my taste the most, because they started with a fresh sheet of paper and a brand new schematic for it, and it wasn't based on anything. It was just its own thing, and I liked that. I was like, you know what, that sounds like a more modern take of his amps, and it wasn't just a remake of something or anything like that. It's got its own thing going on, and I took a chance and bought it without playing through it, and fell in love with it immediately. Amazing amplifier. So again, for my taste and what I do, top tier amp in the Diesel family. So I hope the answer that I gave you to your question was suitable. It's the best way that I could have done it, because honestly, it's hard for me to really rank all these, because every time I plug into any one of these amplifiers, I feel like I'm playing the best amplifier in the world. So that's why I picked them all, because they're freaking amazing. So this next question is from Nick Tremblay, and this is via email, by the way. He says, I have another request for riffs and responses. Can you do a shootout of the Amp 1 Iridium Classic channel at its most metal rhythm settings against the Stealth Blue channel, and the Iridium Modern channel at its most metal lead settings against the Stealth Red channel? You mentioned that the Iridium is reminiscent of the Stealth, and I'd love to hear them side by side. Thanks. Okay, well, Nick, your wish is my command, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to start with the blue channel on the EVH Stealth and its most aggressive, nasty settings, and the Iridium Classic channel the same way, just as you requested. So pay attention to the screen. Whatever amp you see in the corner there is the one that I'm actually playing. I'm boosting both amps with the odd box as well. So here we go. Wow, very freaking close. So I was right. They are kind of reminiscent of each other in some ways. Now, I will say that the EVH Stealth Blue Channel has a little more edge to it, just a little bit more, and the Iridium's a little rounder, you know, on the top end. But very close, though, and they both felt really good to play. So I would say if you want to save money and not lug a huge amp around, at least regarding the Blue channels, the Iridium's also a really good choice for you. But I kind of prefer, between, you know, these two channels anyways, I prefer the Stealth a little bit because I like stuff that's a little edgier and has a little more bite to it. But that said, the Iridium stood up to it very well, and I'm kind of surprised at how close they are. I really am. So now let's see how the red channel on the Stealth compares to the modern channel on the Iridium. Wow, man, I'm really surprised. It is close, man. It's really close. A little bit more edge and nastiness to the Stealth Red channel, but man, I've never done this before. I've never compared them, and it was just a guess. Like, yeah, I think it's kind of reminiscent of the Stealth, but man, I was right. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but dude, holy shit. Yeah, that was a pretty accurate assessment. And yeah, they are very close in some ways. Now, in the room, I'm not noticing a big difference. I'm listening through in-ears, but I'm still getting a lot of thump out of the cab on both units. And the Stealth still has a little more aggression and nastiness, but man, that freaking Iridium is really holding its own against the Stealth, and I am shocked at how well it's doing that. And the thing is, though, the one thing you got to keep in mind with the Iridium, and I did a video about this, that Oddbox pedal by Warm Audio is a total game changer for that that unit, because without it, if you use other overdrives, it's a pretty sculpted amplifier, and with other you know, overdrives, they seem to overly sculpt it, and with the Oddbox, it pushes a little bit more low end in the amp and allows it to be bigger sounding, and it really is a game changer. So if you want to get the most out of your Amp 1 Iridium, definitely get the Oddbox by Warm Audio. There's a link below. Go ahead and click on that and get yourself one. I'm telling you, you will thank me for it. It really does improve the sound of the Amp 1 Iridium and all my other amps as well. So thanks for your question, Nick. I hope this helped you out. So the final comment in this video is from AfterBelief302. I don't think I pronounced that right, but whatever happened to John Smith as a name, you know? Anyways, he says, it's really nice to see that you dedicated a big chunk of this video to positive comments this time. Goes to show all of the support you have. I'm in search of buying my first tube amp for around $1,000. Can you share your recommendations in that range? Well, first of all, thank you so much for commenting. I appreciate it, and I'll get to your question in just a second. But so basically, he's referring to my last Riffs and Responses video, and I dedicated a lot of the time to the positive comments, which is a kind of an uncomfortable thing for me, because you know, it's weird. It's like
look what all the nice things people said about me.
You know, it just feels strange to do, but I do appreciate the kind words very much. And then I got even more awesome comments and compliments from you know, just bringing all that up in that video. And I wanted to reach out and say thank you all very much for that. I mean, you never know what kind of day somebody's having, and just a simple compliment can really turn things around for them. So I really do appreciate the compliments and the positive comments from you guys. I really do. They go a long way, and I'm not begging for them now by saying this, but I'm just saying thank you so much. You guys really do make my day when I see positive comments and encouragement from you guys, because at the end of the day, I'm just a regular dude. I'm just down here playing stuff, sharing my thoughts about it, and staring into a black camera all day. You know, so it's hard to get a reaction out of that camera. I've tried and it just doesn't work. So it's nice to get those comments from you guys, and to know that what I'm doing is actually making a difference in your guys' lives regarding your gear purchases or your guitar playing or whatever, you know. And I will say that you guys have definitely made a huge difference in my life as well. So I really appreciate the back and forth that we have in this community. And I think it's just important for us to always encourage each other and build each other up, because that's really what life's all about. You know, I mean, putting each other down, it just sucks. You don't make yourself a better person by doing that. You actually make yourself worse. So I like the positive comments, and I like to keep things positive here. Yes, every once in a while I'll address a troll or maybe someone who doesn't agree with me about something, but it's okay if people don't agree with me. It really is. I'm not above reproach, and I'm not, you know, infallible. You know, I can be wrong about things from time to time, and if I can learn from people, I'd be happy to do that. As long as people challenge me in a respectful manner, and I'm not saying you got to kiss my ass, but just be respectful about it, I will definitely take your comments seriously, and I will consider what you're saying and weigh it into my experience, and maybe I can learn something. I'm not above learning things, you know. All I do on this channel is share with you what I have learned, you know, and I'm learning every day. And I learn from you guys as well, so I appreciate it very much. And I do very much appreciate the kind words. I'm telling you guys, it goes a long way, because I could speak for all of us YouTubers. We're just talking to a camera all day, and you don't get any response out of it. So you just look forward to seeing the comment section, especially if it's good stuff that helps us stay encouraged and keep doing what we're doing, because there's nothing worse than coming down here feeling demoralized and trying to do a video, you know. So I love the fact that people look forward to the videos. I love the fact that people look forward to the live streams. It makes me want to do them even more for you guys, and it just brings a lot of adrenaline to it. I mean, when I come down here and flip on the lights and hit record, I feel good about doing that, and it's a great feeling knowing that people enjoy the video. So I appreciate that very much. I remember, quick story, I remember Ola England talking about this a couple years ago on his channel. He's like, yeah, I was just in Sweden just doing videos, and then I came to my first NAMM, and all these people came up to me and were like, hey, I watch your videos all the time, and wanted to get to know me and talk to me and get their pictures taken and get things signed and whatever. And he said, man, I went home and I had no idea at all how much people liked my videos until I went to NAMM that day, and really it just sunk in, like, oh my gosh, what I'm doing is actually resonating with people. And he said, I started really just going full on, you know, full tilt with the videos, and started putting out way more content and talking more. And, you know, and he said, I'm the person I am today because of that trip. And you guys really don't know how much it means to us when you see us in public, and you come up and say hi and talk about, you know, gear with us and stuff like that. I mean, I'll speak for myself when I say this. I mean, it really does mean a lot, and it happens to me from time to time too. I see people, and we end up connecting on something and talking about things, and I always leave those conversations feeling like, man, I can't wait to get home and make my next video, because I just got encouraged by meeting this person, and they told me how much they like my videos, and it really does go a long way. So again, thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart. So now on to your question. Let me review this again. So you're in search for buying your first tube amp for around $1,000. Can you share your recommendations in that range? Well, You know, I think the EVH Iconic would be a great value for you for your first tube amp. I think it sounds really good. I mean, channel 1 has 2 modes. It's got the clean mode and a nice high gain crunch mode. It's beyond crunch though. It's a pretty high gain crunch channel for rhythms. You can even do leads on it as well. But you also get channel 2, which has plenty of gain for both rhythms and leads, and it's voiced a little differently, so that's also a very good channel. So I think that, and that's, like I said earlier in the video, that's one of the reasons why I bought that, because in its price range, I think it's easily one of the best amplifiers out there. Now, if you want to save a few bucks and get something different and, you know, save a few dollars, I mean, go for the MT15. I think that's also a really good amplifier. It's a lunchbox amp, you know, it's only 15 watts, but it sounds bigger than that, you know. It's a 15 watt amp that thinks it's a 50 watt amp. So I think that would be a good choice for you as well. But I would say the difference between the two is with the MT15, you get that noise floor. It's pretty loud, you know, it's got that hum to it that it can be a little bit annoying to some people, where the EVH Iconic doesn't have that. So that's something to weigh in with your decision. So I hope that helps. Well guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate all the comments and questions. And if you want to be on my next one, feel free to leave a comment or a question below in this video, and I will screenshot it and save it for next week's video. And if you have any questions about anything, I'll be happy to answer them for you. And I love doing these videos for you guys, and I hope you enjoy them. Well, if you want to support my channel, there is a link below to my Patreon. You can support me there, $5, $10, whatever you want to do per month. It goes a long way, and I really appreciate it. Or if you play quad CORTEX, KEMPER, or ToneX, you can go to my website, also linked below, and get some awesome high gain brutal tones for any one of those units. And I do cleans for those as well. So if you want to get some amazing guitar tones for any one of those units, feel free to click that link and go to my website. I'm sure you'll like what you see there. So if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. It really helps me in the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I either go live or come out with another episode. Well, I got a lot more stuff coming up for you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.